Coming up tonight, the opposition deputy leader slams government borrowing. Meanwhile, a former health minister urges a different approach to fighting the coronavirus. Plus, young people sound off on marijuana legalization.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, Progressive Liberal Party Deputy Leader Chester Cooper is lashing out at the government after it was revealed that a top credit rating agency is expecting the country's gross borrowing requirement to hit $2 billion. According to Cooper, this will have a lasting impact on the country and he thinks government needs to be honest about it. Berthene McDermott has that.
Responding to Moody's assertion that government's gross borrowing will likely hit $2 billion, PLP Deputy Leader Chester Cooper said government's high-coupon $600 million bond and the historic borrowing brought on by COVID-19 and Hurricane Dorian will likely be a generational albatross around the neck of Bahamians and could impact the value of the country's dollar.
But I think this is going to have a generational impact, not just on our economy, but on the value of our dollar and, quite frankly, our way of life.
The International Credit Rating Agency said it expects government's gross borrowing requirements will likely hit $2 billion as the fiscal deficit widens to 11% of gross domestic product. The credit rating agency explained that the recently closed $600 million foreign currency bond will meet only one-third of government's need. Cooper recalled that he urged the government to borrow the money earlier in the pandemic when the country might have received a more favorable interest rate, especially as Moody's most recent downgrade to junk bond status did not happen until June. He said if government had listened to his suggestion, the government would have saved money.
Had the situation not been so dire, first of all, I would say I told you so. Had the government borrowed in March or April, when I said go hard and go early, we would have been able to save significant sums in terms of the cost of borrowing on the $600 million loan that they recently took, for example. I did the calculation, and had they done it in March or April, we would have saved $200 million over the life of the loan.
Cooper added that this will also impact government's ability to offer social assistance and its ability to spend money on infrastructure. According to Cooper, crisis management requires vision, strategy, and realism. Moving forward, he suggests the Minister administration be honest about what its needs are and what this will mean for the country.
The Bahamian people ought to be apprised of the reality. They must understand basically what this means, what we are up against as a people, as a country, as an economy. And quite frankly, I do not believe that they have done a good enough job at being candid.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthene McDermott.
Former Health Minister Dr. DWANE Sands had his say on the Minister administration's handling of the COVID-19 crisis as he spoke in the House of Assembly on Monday night. Sands, who spoke during the debate on a resolution to extend the state of emergency, told parliamentarians that the Bahamas is underperforming in the fight against COVID-19.
The process that we have engaged in over the last 6 to 8 months have not worked. They have not worked, Mr. Speaker. We are underperforming as a nation. We are underperforming relative to all of our peers in the region. And as it relates to cases, 80% of the rest of the world. And as it relates to deaths, 89% of the rest of the world.
Dr. Sands, who cares for COVID-19 patients, also called for the return of participatory governance, the construction of a modular facility to focus exclusively on infected patients, and expressed concerns over the fact that many people are being denied access to care for ailments unconnected to the coronavirus because of the strain the pandemic is placing on the nation's healthcare system. And that's not all he suggested.
What we ought to be doing right now is to build a modular COVID facility at a place outside of Princess Margaret Hospital, a place outside of Doctor's Hospital, so that we can concentrate the care. How many beds? I don't know, maybe 150 beds. We can ask Direct Relief, we can ask some of the other NGOs to assist us in building a modular facility that's robust, where we can have an intensive care unit, operating rooms, so that we can reduce the splitting of care.
The former health minister, who did not support a resolution passed in the House of Assembly, also suggested the weekend lockdowns on New Providence and Abaco are ineffective. And as COVID-19 cases continue to soar, Sands had this grim message for residents.
The message is, assume that every single person that you come into contact with is COVID positive. Every single person that you come into contact with, assume that they are COVID positive and act likewise.
Inner city residents say the constant lockdowns are selfish as it affects them more than others. Julian Gray tells us more.
Just one day after Parliament passed an extension to the emergency powers orders, inner city residents fear the potential lockdowns that could be implemented because of that. Baintown resident DAQUILE MISSICK said lockdowns are selfish as they only affect the livelihood of the most vulnerable in the country.
Fire the Prime Minister, that's the first thing. If the World Health Organization saying you're making poor people poor by locking down the country, why do you still continue to lock down the country? And it's the whole world telling you all this. That's just being selfish. Then they have set salaries, so they getting paid regardless. Stay home or not, they still getting paid. The people like us who gotta work check to check, month to month, week to week, ain't nothing for us.
The father of one said he does body work and can't make money because others don't have the means to get their car fixed. He added that most of the people in his community struggle to feed their families daily.
In my household, some people have warrants. They can't pay their warrants. So if they get catch now, they can get locked up and get sentenced on stupidness. They got to do better.
Small businessman Peter Tracy said the pandemic has affected his business. Tracy said he was knocked down by an off-duty police officer and just got out of the hospital after 4 weeks.
But that doesn't stop me from paying the light bill, and the cable, but not me being wounded.
Now, the labor minister said yesterday that most of the more than 30,000 people that have been unemployed since March who work outside of the hotel and direct tourism sector are returning to work. Inner city residents say that's not been their experience, charging that they may need to resort to drastic measures in order to make ends meet.
Any and every way I can make my money. Only thing I ain't doing is no weird things. But if I have to go there and be a criminal for a living, this is what they want, I could do that. But I have to feed my son, that's my obligation.
Did the pandemic hurt your business?
Very much, but that didn't hurt me.
Okay.
Once I was alive, hope.
With 5 kids, 3 grandkids, and no job, Desali Joseph said it's been rough. Her boyfriend does odd jobs to make ends meet, and she says she's just grateful that her landlord has been compassionate as they owe 8 months' rent.
I owe light bill, I owe cable bill, I don't know. God, the landlord, he trust me for the money. When my boyfriend working, now I pay piece by piece.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
A resolution to extend the state of emergency to November 30th passed in the Senate this afternoon, but not before Senator Dr. Michael Darville blasted the government over its handling of the pandemic. Jasmine Brown reports.
Progressive Liberal Party Senator and Shadow Minister for Health Dr. Michael Darville did not hold back as he contributed to the debate in the Senate. Darville says the COVID-19 situation in the Bahamas has gotten so bad that the Bahamas must immediately shift gears to stem the spread of the virus, which has already killed more than 130 people.
We must now question the effectiveness of the current health protocols and shift gears immediately. I want to say that again. The competent authority must shift gears immediately in order to flatten the curve and break this deadly chain of community spread. If this is not done, we believe that the current pattern of spread will continue creating a vicious cycle and putting all of us at unnecessary risk.
5 senators voted in favor of the resolution. Darville, along with Senators Fred Mitchell and JoBeth Colby Davis, voted against the resolution. The extension of the state of emergency allows the competent authority to continue to impose restrictions like lockdowns and curfews. But Darville said it is time to end that style of governance.
The competent authority must take his head out of the sand, become focused, and do away with many of the failed policies and protocols that are obviously not working on the ground. We have to press the button and reset where we're going.
But Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Dwight SAWYER, defended the government's handling of the crisis on Tuesday morning as he sought to make a case for the extension.
The situation on the ground is dire. The virus continues to rage. The emergency situation remains. Matters have become precarious because even while the virus rages, we are compelled by economic necessity to take steps to open the economy once again. To do this successfully, we will have to find the right balance between health and safety.
As of Monday, there were more than 6,500 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Bahamas. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Several advocates for cannabis legalization are urging government to act. The topic of legalization even has bipartisan political support.
Hemp is used to make hair products, clothes, and things of that nature. Matter of fact, you can find certain hair products with hemp in it on the shelf right here in Nassau right now.
20-year-old entertainer ATRAE Davis, also known as Bahamian TRAE, is part of a growing generation of young people who support cannabis legalization. He says young Bahamians are aware of the progress the plant is making in other countries and want the Bahamas to join in.
Lots of young people are being arrested for small amounts of this substance that is mostly legal around the world now.
Davis's views clash with that of the Christian Council, which recently announced its opposition to cannabis legalization. The announcement sparked the ire of many other young Bahamians who see legalization as a common sense move.
They only are talking about the recreational use of the plant. They never mentioned the industrial use of the plant. All they talked about is what psychological effects that it's had on young men and young women.
But I think that they are biased in choosing what they want to pick as a hot topic to talk on.
28-year-old RENALDO CARTWRIGHT is the founder of Marijuana Bahamas, a group that advocates for marijuana legalization. He was excited when he heard the Prime Minister announce that the country's, quote, outdated marijuana laws would be reviewed and that a hemp industry might be established.
We are seeing tourism not being able to sustain this country. And for too long, we as Bahamians are at the back of the line. Right now, since we are in a pandemic, we need action and not talking.
Supporters of cannabis legalization point to the wide array of benefits offered by the plant. Opponents question if the country wants to profit from the sale of a drug. But cannabis legalization has bipartisan support. Torchbearers President CARLYLE BETHEL and PLP consultant and spokesperson LaTrey Ramming both agree on the direction the country should take.
Some action needs to be taken on this. I think the best decision for the economy and for the social justice is to fully legalize, and I think we ought to do that sooner rather than later.
I think there's huge opportunities to gain from the legalization of marijuana industry. I think that the government can meet the Christian Council in the middle. I think that there can be compromise, but I do believe that one body or one institution shouldn't be the barrier towards what could be economic empowerment for Bahamians.
It's time now for your first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good night, Greg.
Thanks, Jared. In our first look at weather, brought to you tonight by Grand Bahama Power Company. Nice conditions on the outside. Temperatures still near the low 80s. 82 is our current temperature with just a few clouds on the outside. Your winds are light out of the southeast, 5 knots. Feels like temperature around 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite-wise, beautiful conditions around the islands today. High pressure remains in charge. Nothing much in terms of any significant weather. Few passing clouds, few isolated showers in the forecast. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
So to come on Our News, no special rights for same-sex couples. Plus, police in Grand Bahama investigate a boating accident.
We share our stories because
there is power in every story.
There is hope in every story.
There is healing
in every story.
Our stories will inspire you.
They will change you.
They will empower you.
Because there is freedom in every story.
Join me, Erlene Camille, and my guest every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. for powerful, revealing, life-changing stories. Journey TV, we share life's truths.
As the religious community awaits clarification on recent remarks made by Pope Francis, where he seemingly supports civil same-sex unions, a senior pastor at Bahamas Faith Ministries says there's no need for same-sex couples to have special rights. Giorgio Bain reports.
Following remarks by the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, seemingly expressing support for same-sex civil unions, senior pastor at BFM Dave Burrowes expressing shock at those comments while stating that there is no need for a set of special rights for same-sex couples.
My contention is that we cannot create a new category of relationships where it's not, first of all, biblically accepted, and then as far as a social norm, it's not accepted in the Bahamas.
Pope Francis has been quoted as saying, "What we have to do is create a civil union law. That way they are legally covered." Burrowes admitted that he was shocked by the comments and stated that he is awaiting further clarification on the Pope's remarks. However, he doubled down that he sees no need for special rights for same-sex couples.
All individuals in the Bahamas are protected by the laws of the Bahamas. No one is aggrieved. People can live their lives however they want to, and there's no prosecution.
Burrowes said while he understands that the right to marriage may seem to be a simple, basic human right, as a practicing Christian, he cannot endorse unions in that context.
When you look at a man and a wife and children, it's a very natural progression. When you look at man and a man or a woman, it's not the same natural progression.
Asked if he thinks the Bahamas is ready for same-sex marriage or civil unions, Burrowes said this.
I can't say for the future, but at the moment, I think overwhelmingly, Bahamians do not support same-sex marriage or civil unions.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
A Grand Bahama man was today charged with harboring a fugitive from an armed robbery. 42-year-old Clifton McDonald of West Area Road appeared before Deputy Chief Magistrate Debbie Ferguson in Freeport this morning. McDonald was charged with harboring a fugitive following the armed robbery of John Bull back in July 2018. Today in court, McDonald pleaded not guilty and was granted $4,000 cash bail. His attorney, Paco Deal, objected and the matter was referred to the Supreme Court. The case has been adjourned until January 21st, 2021. A boating accident in Grand Bahama left 3 people with injuries. The captain and 2 passengers of that 19-foot Boston whaler ran aground yesterday at Dover Sound and was rescued by officers. Police press liaison Terecita Pinder said the injuries are not life-threatening and added a stern warning to boaters.
Police can say at this time that alcohol seemed to be a factor here at the scene. We are, again, appealing to members of the public. Driving under influence is the same as it is on our streets, as it is on our sea. You cannot drink and drive. As you can see, the ending results of that matter, where there was a serious incident, lives could have been lost, persons could have been drowned.
Our News obtained footage of that boat driving in circles after its captain was tossed overboard. Pinder added that the matter could end up in court as there appeared to be several violations.
No passengers on that boat were found to be wearing a life vest. The boat, as you can see, is not even registered to be on water. So these are serious infractions that we are going to address.
When Our News comes back from the break, is the hemp industry worth a try? One economist thinks so. Stay with us.
Are you wondering what your current bill is? Did you know that you could view your past and current bill breakdown online? Once logged into your Rev account via the link my.rev.bs, scroll down to the bottom of the page. You'll see your most recent bills from the last few months. To view all service charges and equipment rentals, click View or Download. We are committed to providing you with excellent, reliable service no matter what. Stay connected with Rev, anywhere, anytime.
Welcome back. Following an announcement by the Prime Minister that government is considering the legalization of a hemp industry, the conversation surrounding the legalization of marijuana has reignited. Former Chamber of Commerce President Edison Sumner believes that with the economy in its current state, the development of a hemp industry is worth a try.
The stage we're at now, I think that it's prudent for us to consider any aspect of an industry that can be implemented in the country that can have its own little degree of impact on the economy, because all the small measures or the small sums will add up into a total sum at some point.
Sumner, who was a member of the Economic Recovery Committee, believes that there could be a serious avenue for medicinal use and cosmetic usage.
I think that there could be an industry. The exact impact on the economy has yet to be determined. But I think that there may be an industry there for, like I said, for medicinal usage.
Sumner broke down how a possible hemp industry could work in the Bahamas.
We're talking about essentially putting that under the agricultural segment of the economy, where you need to have access to land, you need to have access to water supply, whatever other fertilizers may be necessary to use it. You're talking about, growing this plant in a controlled environment, a regulated, controlled environment where every plant that is grown will have its own permit or its own identification number or something, that there's going to be an authority who's going to oversee how this industry functions and operates, because it has been nefarious in the past.
That'll do it for this portion of the news. Stay with us. A check on sports with Marcellus Hall. Up next.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
The Los Angeles Rams getting the better of the Bears in Monday Night Football as the Dodgers look to close out the World Series. Marcellus Hall tells us more.
Things looking good in the city of Los Angeles these days. The Lakers are your world champions. The Dodgers on the verge of claiming the World Series title. And how about the Rams? They were in action last night, looking pretty good against the Bears. Let's take a look at the highlights. Monday Night Football on the agenda last night. LA Rams and Chicago Bears squaring off in the Rams' brand new stadium. Rams quarterback Jared Goff connected with Josh Reynolds and Gerald Everett for touchdowns. Finished with 219 yards passing on the night. Rams defense, meanwhile, they were outstanding, sacking Bears QB Nick Foles 4 times. They also intercepted him twice on the way to a 24-10 victory. Rams now 5-2 on the season. The loss giving the Bears a 5-2 record as well. Bears' next opponent will be the Saints on Sunday. Rams, meanwhile, travel to Miami for a date with the Dolphins, who will be starting rookie quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. And the World Series could end tonight with Game 6 of the best-of-7 between the Tampa Bay Rays and the LA Dodgers. Dodgers with a 3-2 lead in the series. They'll go with Tony Gonsolin on the mound. Blake Snell gets the nod for the Rays. And of course, we'll give you full details from tonight's World Series game coming up for you right here tomorrow. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
That was a look at sports. It's time now for your extended weather forecast. Greg?
Thanks, Jared. Our second look at weather brought to you tonight by Infogro. Satellite-wise across the area, high pressure remains in charge of our conditions across the islands. Dry air mass moving in. So we're gonna see some beautiful conditions over the next couple of days. West of us, we do have Tropical Storm Zeta, which actually is going to get its act together in the Gulf of Mexico, expected to become a hurricane overnight through tomorrow and continue to move towards the northwest. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas, we have a caution flag posted for you guys down there. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Seas will be running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. Here's a look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch Our News on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.